So, in the last section, we have discussed about the laws of refraction and the principle of reversibility, and we got a relation by using the laws of refraction. By using the laws of refraction, we got a relation in the principle of reversibility. A ray after refraction, it retraces the same path. Retrace the same path. In that case, we got the relation, the refractive index mu to 1, second medium with respect to first medium, the refractive index of second with respect to first equal to reciprocal of refractive index of first with respect to second. That we have derived. Next, the important thing is the refraction of light through a glass slab. Here we will find the refraction occurs, how the refraction occurs through a glass slab. In this section, let us consider a glass slab. Let me draw the ray diagram. So let us consider a rectangular glass slab. Two parallel faces, some refracting medium is in between, glass medium is there, and this is the glass slab, whose thickness, that the thickness of the glass slab is T, and as you know, the material in the glass slab, for example, let it is glass. It is glass slab means it is the material inside this is a glass of refractive index. Glass has a refractive index mu. Mu glass is the absolute refractive index, right? Mu is the refractive index of the glass slab. Okay, so this mu is the refractive index of glass slab. Refractive index. Air means with respect to air, so we can say that we can write this is the absolute refractive index. Absolute refractive index of glass slab, and T is the thickness of the glass slab. Now, how this refraction occurs to the glass slab, let me draw. Now, let us consider a ray of light incident obliquely AO is the incident ray. This is your air medium, this is your glass medium, and this is your air medium. From air, a ray travels from air and enters to the glass medium. So the ray traveling from one medium to another medium. And let us consider this is the normal. Because to know the refractive index, in refraction, laws of refraction, we should draw a normal. Let this normal is your N1 dash. So let me draw like this. N1 dash. So this is a normal to the glass slab. N1 O, N1 dash is a normal, and this is the angle of incidence I. Angle of incidence I. That is the angle of incidence I. And after refraction, the ray is traveling from a rarer, air is a rarer, to a denser, bends towards the normal. And if there is no refraction, this is the actual path of the ray. If there is no refraction, this is the actual path, undeviated path. If there is no refraction, if the ray travel, it is the rectilinear propagation of light, so A will retrace along this path. But due to this refraction, the ray bends toward the normal. So it bends like this toward the normal. Let this is the OB. The ray is refracted OB. And this is the refracted ray in the glass slab. At this point, again let us draw the normal. So this normal, let N2 B and 2 dash. This is the normal on this face. So let me name this one P Q R S section. So N2 B N2 dash is a normal to the face SR. N1 O N1 dash is a normal to the face P2. If this is the angle of refraction, let this is your R1. Incident angle I, this is R1 bends towards. So if this is R1, these two rays are parallel, these two normals. So this should be equal to R1. Then after that, the ray travel along the refracted ray. Now at this interface, travels from glass to air, bends away from the normal. So I show that away from the normal. So like that, it bends like this, away from the normal, like this. So it bends away from the normal. This is bends away from the normal. Clear? So this is away from the normal. So this is the, let this is the actual path, let this is OD, and it is passed along the DC. This is the refracted angle. Let this angle is your R1 or R2. Let this is your R2. Angle of refraction for the face SR. Now if you see this one, there are two refractions of course from this slab. First refraction, then this is the second one. Okay. So we got the ray diagram. Okay. Now let us use the laws of reflection. So you all of you understand this ray diagram. How the refraction occurs through a glass slab. Now we go to the, according to the law of refraction, for the refraction on this face, apply or according to the laws of refraction at the face PQ, refractive index of glass with respect to air, traveling from air to glass with respect to air, is equal to sine of angle of incidence I by sine of R1. Okay. So let me take this R, and this is R, this is also R. So I by R1, and let this is your R1. Sin I by sin R. Here, the equation 1. Then, at the face SR, apply the same law of refraction. Here, the refractive index of air with respect to glass, the traveling from glass to air, is equal to sine. What is the angle of incidence here? R. I have made the correction here. It is R. Here R by sine R1. This implies, according to principle of reversibility, if I write this mu glass to air, that should be equal to 1 by air to glass. This is equal to sine R1 by sine R. Equation 1, equation 2. Equating equation 1 and 2. Equating equation 1 and 2. Equating equation 1 and 2. Now equate equation 1 and 2. What you will get? Equation 1 sin I by sin R, because LHS of equation 1 and 2 are same. So RHS should be equal sin I by sin R is equal to sin R by sin R1. This implies this equating these two. So sin I by R1 R is equal to sin R by sin R1 by R. Now equate these two. Sin I should be equal to sin R1. So I is equal to R1. This is equation 1, this is equation 2 from equation 2, R1 by R2. Clear? So I is equal to R1. I R1. This is a normal, this is normal. If I is equal to R1, how much is this race? This race makes the same angle. And this is the actual path. AD, actual path, or the line of action of the incidence ray. This is the refracted ray through the glass slab. They are parallel. They are parallel. So we can write this: the ray of light incidence obliquely. The ray of light incident obliquely. Obliquely. The ray incident obliquely. The ray of light incident obliquely on the parallel side of glass slab. On the parallel side of glass slab. Parallel side of glass slab. Incident obliquely on the parallel side of the glass slab. Emerge out parallel. Emerge out parallel to the emerge out parallel to the incident ray. To the incident ray. This is the conclusion. Refraction of light through a glass slab, that will conclude that if this is the line of action, this is the emergent ray, then this emerge out parallel to the line of action of the incident ray or the incident ray. Now after getting this one, if they are parallel, then I have written here that is lateral shift. Now we'll find out the lateral shift. What is this lateral shift? If you know that the lateral shift is the perpendicular distance, this perpendicular distance, let this is your D, and this is the perpendicular distance, let this is your L, perpendicular. This perpendicular distance is called lateral displacement, and the ray is lateral shift, and this distance is called lateral displacement. That we will find an expression for this lateral displacement. Okay. So we can say that after that we will find out what is the lateral displacement. That the conclusion we got, I is equal to R1, so they are parallel. Then the perpendicular distance is called your lateral shift. So the perpendicular distance between the perpendicular distance between the perpendicular distance between the direction of incident ray and the emergent ray. The direction of incident ray and the emergent ray. Emergent ray, incident ray, direction of incident of the direction of incident ray and the emergent ray and the perpendicular distance is known as lateral shift or displacement, you can say lateral shift or lateral displacement, and we will find the lateral shift or lateral displacement. So now we will find what is the expression for this lateral displacement. So now we go to the triangle BOL. In the triangle BOL, now we have find an expression for B. Go to the triangle BOL. In the triangle BOL, what is sin I? If this is R, what about this angle? What is about this angle? I, this is R, the actual ray. So this is I, this is total is I, this is R. So this will be I minus R. So sin I minus R is equal to, what is the sign? This is right angle triangle BOL. What is sin I minus R1? BL by OB. So this is equal to BL by OB. This equal to BL already we have taken there. This is D, which is the lateral displacement or lateral shift. D by OB. First equation. Clear? Then go to the from this expression. What is your D? Lateral displacement D is equal to OB into sin I minus R. OB into sin I minus R. Then now go to the triangle BON1 dash. In the triangle BON1 dash. In the triangle BON1 dash. BON1 dash. Cos R. What is this cos R? This is perpendicular. Cos R. What is this cos R? ON1 dash by ON1 dash by OB. ON1 dash by OB. So what is this ON1 dash? ON1 dash T, thickness of the glass, by OB. So OB is equal to T by cos R. Let this is equation 1, this is 2. Putting 2 in equation 1. Putting 2 in equation 1. Putting equation 2 in equation 1. What I will get? D is equal to T by cos R sin I minus R. This is the expression for lateral shift or lateral displacement. Here, T by cos R into sin I minus R. Okay, and the lateral shift is maximum. D is maximum when cos R 0. Cos R 0 means what is R? Angle of refraction at the face PQ R. So cos R is 0. So sorry, it is 1. For cos R is equal to 1. So if cos R is 1 or R is equal to 0, R is equal to 0, or the maximum means how much it will be maximum? D is equal to T, that is the maximum value, or sin I minus R is equal to 1. If R is equal to 0, or this implies R is 0, so sin I is equal to 1, or I is equal to 90 degree. 90 degree, R is equal to 0. If this condition satisfied, then D is equal to T, that is the maximum lateral displacement or lateral shift. Okay, so we got the relation for lateral shift and how this lateral shift occurs in the glass slab. Go through the diagram and the derivation for expression for lateral displacement. Okay. Okay. Now we will discuss about some phenomena related to the refraction of light. One of the phenomena is that when you put a coil inside a water tank filled with water, you put a coil at the bottom. The coil appears to be raised up. When you observe that, the coil appears to raise up. That is where the coil is put, it is from the surface of water to the bottom where the coil is there, this is the real depth. But when it appears raised up, this distance is called as from the surface to the image of the object, that distance is called as your apparent depth. So we will go to an expression of real depth and apparent depth. Apparent depth. Here we find an expression for the normal shift. Here we will find an expression for normal shift. Then we calculate lateral shift. Here is a normal shift, means perpendicular shift. So first you draw, let us explain that. What is that real depth and apparent depth? First you understand this one. Let us consider a tank filled with water. Consider a tank. This is a tank filled with water. Up to PQ is the level of water. It is filled with the water. Clear? It is filled with the water. And the water is somewhat up to the depth of T. This is the depth up to T. The water is up to the depth T. The bottom. And this is the surface of water. Now, let an object O or a coin or anything object O is at the bottom. O is an object at the bottom. So, to know the image of this object, now you can see the object from this side. You can see the object from this side because the lateral shift will observe if you see outside the water. So if you see from this side, this O appears to be raised up, but this distance is called as this perpendicular distance up to the surface is called as the real depth. It is at the real depth. So to know that, let us consider, to get the image of an object, we need two rays, in reflection and also in diffraction. At least or minimum two refracted rays. Take two refracted rays from the same object. So if this is the object, let one of the refracted ray, let a ray OA incident, a ray of light from the object O incident here on the surface. So this is your water medium, this is your water, and this is your air medium. The ray is traveling from water to air, but the ray is incident normally on the surface. Normally on the surface. So a ray of light incident normally, but the angle of incidence here, I is equal to 0 because it is along the normal. So here angle of incidence is 0. So angle of refraction should be also 0 because sin I by sin R. Right? If I is 0, R is 0, so the refractive index it is going to the air medium, so it will be 0 by sin 0 by 0, that is always a 0. So on that basis, so I is equal to 0, so the ray will go undeviated and the let the ray goes as AB. This is the refracted ray. OA goes refracted, AB along the same path. Let us draw another ray. Incident oblique. Now, if you see from this path, normally, if you see normally to the water tank, you will find the object is at real depth, at O. You will not find the object is raised up. When you see normally, you will find the object is here. But if we see obliquely, then what happens? Let us consider another ray. Another ray, that is your, suppose OC. OC incident at this interface or the boundary, and let us know the refraction. This is the normal, so this is your angle of incidence I. The angle of incidence I. If the ray is traveling from water to air, denser to rarer, it bends away from the normal, so the ray will go away from the normal like this. And this will be your angle of refraction R. This is angle of incidence I. This is normal, this is a normal. So this is also I. So it goes I. Now if you see from this side, put your eye here. This is your eye position. If you see from this side, the rays, this is very close. These 2 points are very close. You can assume that these 2 rays appears to come from a point this. From which point? If you make these two rays coming from the point I. Clear? So these are 2 rays appears to come from the point I. So I is the image of the object O. So we find the image I here. So when you see from this side, the object appears to come from here, and this depth is called as your apparent depth. AO is called real depth, AI is called apparent depth. And what is normal shift? How much it is shift perpendicular? This is called as your normal shift. You will find the expression for that. Okay. So now we derive this one. Already know I and R. Okay. So first you take the, according to the Snell's law or the laws of refraction, first you find the, in this case, refractive index of air to glass. In the note you will get the detailed writing, the detailed detection is there, but here only I am putting the more mathematical formula. Refractive index of air with respect to glass. The ray is traveling from, air with respect to water. It is traveling from water to air. Where the refracted ray? In air. Where is the incident ray? In water. So it is should be air to water is equal to sin I by sin R. Sin I by sin R. Clear? Then now take the triangle AOC. In the triangle AOC. In the triangle AOC, what is your sin I? Sin I. AOC, sin I is equal to what? Sin I is equal to AC by OC. AC by OC. AC by OC. Clear? In the triangle AIC. In the triangle AIC, sin R. AIC. If this is R, what about this angle? R. This is R, then this will be R. Right? Because these 2 rays are parallel. This is the line. We have straight line. Green and red line. This is R. This is R. So sin R is equal to what? Here sin R is equal to AC by IC. AC by IC. AC by IC. So now use this one. Mu air to water is equal to sin I AC by OC divided by sin R AC by IC. So mu air to water is equal to AC by OC. So that cancel. So IC by OC. IC by OC. Clear? So now you can find here H. C is close to A. C is close to A. We can take IC. I can take as IA. Because this is very close. So IC, I can say C is close to A, IA. And OC, I can take OA. So now we put this one. Refractive index of air with respect to water is equal to IC, I can put here IA divided by OC, OA. They are nearly equal. According to the principle of reversibility, mu refracting index of air to water is equal to 1 by mu water to air. Mu water to air, that equal to IA by OA, or mu water to air is equal to OA by IA. What is this OA? Real depth. So refracting index of water with respect to air equal to real depth by apparent depth. This is the formula. When the rays is coming from water to air, then if a ray of light is coming from one medium, this is medium 2, so this is medium 1, then the equation can be refracting index of 2 with respect to 1. Medium 2, 1. This is a denser, this is a rarer. Traveling from denser to rarer. 2 with respect to 1 is equal to, also you can write real depth by apparent depth. This can also you can write. Now, as you know, the refracting index of water with respect to air is always the refracting index. The absolute refracting index is always greater than 1. Only for air or vacuum this is 1. For water it is greater than 1. So we can write H mu water to air is greater than 1. So if this is greater than 1, so real depth is greater than apparent depth. So real depth is greater than apparent depth. That is the conclusion. So that object appears to be raised up. Clear? The object appears to be raised up. Then you go for normal shift. What is normal shift? How much it is shifted? Normal shift. Now you go for normal shift. How much it is shifted? So how much it is shifted? Let the normal shift I will take as x is equal to OA real depth minus OI. Sorry, OA minus AI. Real depth minus apparent depth, or IA. Real depth minus apparent depth. So this equal to take OA common, 1 minus IA by OA. IA by OA. Or this equal to, what is OA? OA is the thickness. OA is the, here is what? The depth of water. P. So this is the depth of water. P depth of water into 1 minus IA. 1 minus IA by OA. What is this? 1 by 1 minus, I can write 1 minus 1 by OA by IA. Real depth by apparent depth. This is called a refractive index. 1 by 1 minus refractive index of water with respect to air, or you can write absolute refractive index of water if the ray is traveling to air medium. So x equal to T into 1 minus 1 by absolute refractive index of water if the ray is traveling from water to air medium, right? So this is the expression for your normal shift. Clear? And remember one thing, this is one of the application of the refraction of light. The object appears to be raised up when you observe from the top or from the surface of water if the object is inside the water. Similarly, if you take a rod immersed in water, you find that the portion which is immersed that appears bent. That is also an application, right? Bending of an immersed portion of an object. Similarly, others are like the two images, validity of the two images of an object. That is also the application, right? And another one thing, remember, there are some phenomena related to the refraction of light. through the atmosphere. In the atmosphere, the refraction occurs, and the atmospheric particles in the atmosphere, this is a medium, refraction occurs. When a ray of light travels in the atmosphere, there is refraction also occurs. In that case, the twinkling of stars, that also you can explain by the refraction. Similarly, sun appears oval shape. The sun appears as oval shape. Then at the morning and evening, the sun appears. These are the applications, and don't go for details, only to understand the things. And the time, there is a time difference between the sunrise and sunset, that can be also explained by the refraction. So these are the applications of refraction. Next topic of, and we can say the application of refraction also. Very important thing is the total internal reflection. You have a question in your mind that we are discussing about refraction. Why this term comes? Reflection. See that refraction occurs, but it is reflection. But it is a reflection. Refraction occurs, but it is reflection. Or that is a short form TIR of light. Total internal reflection, or TIR. Very interesting is that. What is TIR? First to understand that thing. Let this is an interface of two media. Let a ray of light is traveling from denser to rarer. That is most important. The ray is traveling from denser to rarer. If that is not traveling from denser to rarer, there is no TIR. Clear? And let this is the normal to the interface of the two media, denser and rarer. As you know, if a ray of light traveling from denser to rarer, let this is the angle of incidence, I. As it traveling from denser to rarer, it bends away from the normal. So you know that it bends away from the normal. This is the angle of refraction. Then the simple concept, it is traveling from denser to rarer, so it bends away from the normal. Now, if we goes on increasing the angle of incidence, if you goes on increasing the angle of incidence, then what happens to the angle of refraction? This also goes on increasing. Sin I by sin R is a constant. If sin I, angle of incidence increases, then sin I increases and sin R also increases, so that the ratio will comes to constant. So R also increases, so I increases, R also increases. So if that occurs, then if I goes on increasing, then at a particular angle of incidence, let's show this one, at a particular angle of incidence, this angle of incidence, at a particular angle of incidence, the refracted ray goes on increasing like that, and it will come refracted along the interface, because it goes on increasing like this, and the ray can travel in the interface. Means the angle of refraction becomes 90 for a particular angle of incidence, which is equal to C. I is equal to C. What is C? C is called as a critical angle of incidence, or critical angle. So if we go on increasing the angle of incidence, the angle of refraction also increases. Then at a particular angle of incidence, the angle of refraction is 90. Means it passes, the refracted ray pass along the interface of the two media, that is the denser and rarer. Clear? So the angle of incidence in the denser medium for which, what is this critical angle? The angle of incidence in the denser medium, that is most important. Angle of incidence in the denser medium, for a denser medium for which the angle of refraction is, the angle of refraction, how much? Angle of refraction 90. normal to the refracted ray 90, for which the angle of reflection 90 degree is called the angle of incidence in the denser medium, for which the angle of reflection 90 degree is called critical angle. This is called as the critical angle. Most important thing. So the total internal reflection occurs. It is not total internal reflection. Now the ray is incident at a particular angle that is equal to critical angle. Then the angle of reflection is 90 degree. Now think that if someone or I will increase the angle of incidence greater than the critical angle, then the angle of refraction also increases and it goes on greater than 90. If it goes greater than 90, the refracted ray will travel in the denser medium. So if I will increase again for a angle of incidence I greater than C, angle of incidence greater than critical angle, then the refracted ray R greater than 90. So it is head back to the same medium. Then this is like a phenomenon of what? A reflection. If the incident angle greater than the critical angle, the ray sent back to the same denser medium. This is called as your total internal reflection. So now you got the definition. Total internal reflection. What is the definition of total internal reflection now? The phenomenon of reflection of total light. The phenomenon of reflection of total light. This is another definition. This is for definition of critical angle. This is, or you can write here the definition of total internal reflection. The phenomenon of this is the phenomenon of reflection of total light. Reflection of total light. Total light. Whole ray gets refracted. Reflected. So total light. As traveling from denser to rarer medium. Traveling from denser to rarer medium. At the angle of incidence, greater than the critical angle. Critical angle is called total internal reflection, TIR. It's called total internal reflection, TIR. So there is a question comes. What are the conditions for total internal reflection? What is the condition for total internal reflection? Then we will go again for critical angle. Now the question is, what are the conditions for TIR? Next, what is the condition for TIR? Condition. What are the conditions for this TIR? Conditions. The ray should travel from denser to rarer medium. Next, number 2, angle of incidence that should be greater than critical angle. The angle of incidence should be greater than the critical angle. Clear? So this is the conditions for TIR. Remember these conditions. These are the questions. Write the conditions for TIR. What is the total internal reflection? So the phenomenon of reflecting of total light is traveling from denser to rarer medium at the angle of incidence greater than the critical angle. Clear? Now we will go for the expression for the critical angle. Now we go to the expression for critical angle. Right? So let the absolute refractive index of this medium, mu d, with respect to air, absolute means with respect to air, and for rarer, this is mu r. Right? This is the absolute refractive index, denser and rarer. Then, as you know, for this critical angle case, for critical angle, you will find an expression for critical angle in terms of refractive index. According to Snell's law, the refractive index of the rays traveling from denser to rarer, so we will say rarer with respect to denser is equal to sin I by sin R. For critical angle, angle of incidence should be equal to critical angle and R should be 90. Put the refractive index of rarer to denser is equal to sin C by sin 90, or sin C is equal to refractive index of rarer with respect to denser. But generally this value will be less than 1. But the refractive index is always greater than 1. Generally, so because it is rarer with respect to denser, but the refractive index should be denser with respect to rarer, we write. So according to the principle of reversibility, if I write refractive index of denser to rarer, then that is equal to 1 by mu r rarer with respect to denser, that should be equal to 1 by sin C. 1 by sin C. This is the refractive index of the denser medium with respect to the rarer medium. Means this is the refractive index from which the ray is traveling and through which medium it enters. So that the refractive index of denser with respect to rarer equal to reciprocal of sine of critical angle, and this is very important relation. This is a very important relation. Clear? And there are a lot of applications of this TIR. And let us say some of the examples, some of the critical angle and the refractive index of the medium. So water, in case of water, in water the refractive index is 1.33. For water the refractive index is 1.33. Its critical angle is 49 degree. Means what? If this is your air medium, this is water medium, a ray is traveling from water to air. If the angle of incidence is greater than 49 degree, the incident ray will send back to the same water medium. It will not pass to the air medium. That is the case, right? For water case. Similarly for crown glass. The refractive index is 1.52. 1.52 or simply 1.5, and the critical angle, remember this is very important. For crown glass or simply glass we can say also. For crown glass, this is the different type of glass. For crown glass the refractive index is 1.52, and if you put that in the formula, this is 1.52, so 1 by sin C, the critical angle will be, if you put that, you will get 42 degree. Means if a ray is traveling from crown glass to air medium or any rarer medium, then if for air medium, then the refractive index of crown with respect to air is 1.52, so the critical angle should be 42 degree. Means if this is the glass region and this is your air region, if a ray is incident at an angle greater than 42 degree, the ray reflect back, right? So another is your flint glass. Flint glass refractive index is equal to 1.63, and the critical angle C is equal to 37 degree, 37.4 degree. 1.63 and this is 37 point, it is 63 or 64, you can say this is 64. So critical angle is 37.4 degree. And the very important thing is that for diamond, these are calculated from this relation. For diamond, its refractive index is more. Diamond is a refractive index of The diamond has the refractive index of 2.42. So the critical angle here is the refractive index 2.42. The critical angle is 24.4 degree. Means if a ray of light is in diamond medium and if the ray in the diamond medium incident at an angle greater than 24.4 degree, means this angle, now see here, the angle gradually decreases, where the refractive index increases, the critical angle decreases. So mu is equal to 1 by sin C. So if a ray of light in diamond incident at this angle or greater than this angle, the ray will not come to air medium, it will remain in diamond medium. So the diamond, this is the reason for sparkling of diamond. Because its critical angle is very small, refractive index is more. If a ray incident or enter into diamond and the diamond is so designed that its faces are so designed that if you see the diamond, the faces are so designed, there are a number of faces on the diamond, the faces are so designed that the critical angle is greater than this value, 24, this very small, then the ray will set back into the diamond medium. It will not come out of the diamond medium. So this is the reason why the diamond sparkling. So now we will discuss the applications of TIR. Now we'll go to the applications of this TIR. So we got the knowledge that, we got the information that in total internal reflection, as you know, as you have discussed, the total internal reflection, the whole light incident in the denser and reflect back to that same denser medium. So the whole light incident and the whole light gets reflected. So there is no, in the optically denser medium, the whole light is there which is incident in the same medium. So therefore there is no loss of incident light energy. There is no loss of incident light energy in total internal reflection. There is no loss of light energy in total internal reflection. Means whole light gets reflected. That is not entering through the rarer medium. In the denser, it goes to the denser medium. Thus, the image formed on the account of TIR, an image formed by TIR, total internal reflection, and an image formed by a plane mirror. In plane mirror also reflection, of course. In the two cases, in plane mirror, some rays enter, because there is a thickness of the plane mirror, some ray entered through the thickness of the mirror. So the image formed by a plane mirror is not of totally reflected ray, but in TIR it is totally reflected ray. So the image formed in the TIR of light is brighter than the image formed by a plane mirror. That is one concept of TIR. Clear? Then another thing is that critical angle, when you discuss about the critical angle of a pair of media, critical angle depends on the pair of the media, denser and rarer medium, depends upon the denser and rarer medium. So greater the refractive index, smaller is the critical angle. And another most important thing you always remember, there is a formula, Cauchy's formula. There is a formula, Cauchy's formula. From Cauchy's formula, we know that we know that the refractive index is proportional to, the refractive index of a medium is proportional to 1 by lambda square. As you know, the mu is 1 by sin C, so it is also proportional to 1 by lambda square. From critical angle relation we have derived, mu is equal to refractive index of denser with respect to rarer. Denser medium refractive index. So if it is rarer is air medium, and if you take water or glass or any other medium, then 1 by sin C is equal to proportional to 1 by lambda square. So sin C is proportional to lambda square, or C is proportional to lambda square. So the critical angle is proportional to lambda square. So here, as you know, if we consider red light and blue light, the wavelength of red light is more. So if the red light gets TIR, the critical angle is more. But if the blue light for the same pair of medium, if you are using red light, its critical angle is more. If you use blue color or any light whose wavelength is less than the red light, all the 6 colors whose wavelength are less than the red light, their critical angle is smaller. So that is the information we got. Then we go to the applications of TIR. As I already told that sparkling of diamond, that we can explain by this application of TIR, sparkling of diamond, or that is also called the brilliance of diamond. So as you know, the critical angle of diamond is 24.4 degree. As its refractive index is 2.4 and critical angle is 24.4 degree. Very smaller critical angle. And a naturally occurring diamond will not show you the sparkling. A naturally occurring diamond will not show you the sparkling. When you go to the jewelry, he made the faces of the diamond. He designed the faces of the diamond, so the faces are so called that when a ray enters into the diamond, and the critical angle is 24.4 degree, very smaller, it gets the ray inside the diamond. Always it touches the face. When it enters inside the diamond, now this is the diamond portion. When the ray enters, the face is so designed that it always incident on this face at an angle greater than this critical angle. So the ray will not come to air medium. It will remain in the diamond region. The face is so designed that it will be in the same diamond region. So that is the reason for sparkling of diamond. You will get all detail how we will write this one. You will get in the notes. Then another example you can say also the shining of air bubble in water. If you find that the air bubbles in water, they shine because of TIR. And the most another important is mirage. The mirage is also the mirage, optical illusion in deserts. It is the, what is this mirage? It is an optical illusion of water observed generally in deserts. When an inverted image of an object is observed along with the object itself on a hot day, means it is an optical illusion, mirage. It is found in your deserts. So we find that in an object, we find the image. So that if you feel that when in the desert, you see from here, you see that if there is an image, there is some water in this region. So that is the optical illusion, but there is no water because of total internal reflection. So these are the examples. And another example of TIR that is very important here is the another example is your totally reflecting prism. Another example is the totally reflecting prism. Now the question is, you know the prism, but what is this totally reflecting prism? A right angle isosceles prism. A right angle isosceles prism. A right angle isosceles prism is called a right angle isosceles prism is called as a totally reflecting prism. So what is an isosceles right angle prism? A right angle isosceles prism means the prism is so that, like this is the prism. Generally you are getting the prisms of this equilateral 60 degree. All the angle of the prism are 60 degree. This is the generally you are finding the prisms. But a totally reflecting prism is a right angle isosceles prism, means one of the face here, one of the angle is 90, the others are 45 degree, and this is 45 degree. This is 45 and 45 degree, means this side is equal to this side, one angle is a 90. This is a right angle isosceles prism, and this is the glass medium. So what is the use of this? As you know, the refractive index of glass, simply the refractive index of glass with respect to air is 1.5. Refractive index of glass is 1.5. Then if you put that in your formula, if a ray of light traveling from glass to air medium, this is the glass, this is made of the prism, made up of glass, isosceles prism, and this is your air medium, and this is your air medium, and this is your air medium, and the refractive index of glass. So suppose a ray of light is here, incident. If the incident angle in this region, what is that? If refractive index is 1.5, then the critical angle, if you find, put the formula mu g is equal to 1 by sin c. From that formula, you will get the c, the critical angle value is, if you put the 41.8 degree, 41.8 degree. If you put that 1.5 is equal to 1 by sin c equal to 1 by 1.5, so c is equal to 41.8 degree. So here we got that when a ray of light incident in this region, in this glass region, this is the glass region, denser, and this is the rarer. If a ray of light incident on this space or this space or this space at an angle greater than this 41.8 degree, 41.8 degree, greater than this angle, incident angle is greater than this 41.8 degree, then the ray will not go to the rarer medium. It gets totally reflected. It will not go to the air medium. So this is the use of PIR, applications of PIR. That's why it is called totally reflecting prism. If the glass is refracting is 1.5, its critical angle is 41.8 degree, means a ray of light incident on any face of the prism. Which prism? Right angle isosceles prism. Greater than this angle, then the ray will reflect back in the same glass medium. Right? So this is the case. Here we will see different cases of totally reflecting prism. Okay. Now we go to the totally reflecting prism. Some cases of this totally reflecting prism. So from the totally reflecting prism, one of the cases right angle prism, means right angle isosceles prism, the total reflecting prism, used to deviate the rays of light through 90 degree, and they are used in different appliances, optical devices. So let us show an isosceles prism like this. See how I am drawing this figure. ABC is a principal section of an isosceles prism. You will see that this isosceles prism is like this. It is 3D. It is in a 2 dimension. I am showing the face. What is attached to this one? Okay. So this side is equal to this side. So it looks like this is an isosceles prism. So ABC. ABC is an isosceles prism, and this angle is 90. This side is a 45 degree. 45 degree. Okay. Now the right angle prism used to deviate the rays of light through 90 degree. Let us consider an AB, an object AB. Let us consider an object AB is placed like this. AB is an object. Let the rays from the object AB incident normally on the face AB. Let's consider one of the ray like this, and it incident normally, then it is perpendicular to this face. So as a ray incident normally on this face, the ray will goes undeviated. So the ray will goes undeviated like this, and it will come to this face, and it will enter to the air to glass undeviated. That is the first part. Another ray suppose comes from this A, incident normally, it also goes undeviated like this. It also goes undeviated along this path. So as this is incident normally from air to glass, this is glass. So as remember, for glass the critical angle is refracting is 1.5, the critical angle is 41.8 degree. Now the ray from the object AB incident normally on the face AB. Now they strike to the face AC. Then what is this angle? If you draw a perpendicular, let me draw the perpendicular like this on this face and on this face perpendicular. So what will be this angle? This is 45. This angle should be 45 and this angle should be 45. If these angles are 45 degree, then this ray strikes to the face AC at an angle 45 degree, and this face AC is the interface of glass and air. It is the interface of glass and air. It is glass and this is the air. The ray in this region, the ray strikes to this face glass air, denser to rarer, traveling from denser to rarer. Incident angle is 45 degree. For glass, the critical angle is 41.8 degree or 42 degree. It is incident at an angle greater than the critical angle. So the ray gets like this. Incident normally. So total internal reflection of course. So it is 45. Means this will be also 45. So I will show like this. This angle should be also 45 degree. So this is a incident normally. If the ray incident normally on BC 90, so it goes undeviated like this. Similarly for this one at 45 degree, this ray is from A, incident 45 degree, it goes undeviated like this. Goes undeviated at the interface DC because it is incident normally. So you will get the image like this. This is B, so this is B and A. B and A. Sorry, B and A. This is the element AB. AB is the image of the object AB, right? A dash, or you can say image means A dash, B dash, the image. Clear? So this is the right angle prism used to deviate the ray through how much angle? This is the ray incident now deviated through the prism at a 90 degree. Now see these two. This is deviated at an angle what? 90. This is deviated at an angle 90. Remember this is 45. Then this angle is also 45. Because this is 45, so this will be incident at an angle 45 degree. Here it is undeviated. Here it is undeviated. So this is the case. And this is such prism is used in the periscope. This is used in your periscope. This is an optical device. This is used in a periscope where we make the isosceles right angle prism where the rays are deviated through an angle of 90 degree. Clear? Now we go to the next one. Next, same total reflective prism. The right angle prism used to deviate the rays of light through 180 degree. The right angle prism used to deviate the rays of light through 180 degree. Here again we will show that here in the first case it is 90, it is 180 degree. Now you take an isosceles prism. Let me show that again the diagram like this. Now place the right angle prism like this. A, B, C. This is 45 degree and this angle is your 90 and this is 45 degree and this is your 90 degree. Clear? This is the isosceles prism. The two sides are same. This side equal to this side. Let us consider same procedure. We will follow the same procedure. Let us consider an object AB. AB is an object. The rays of light from the object AB incident normally on the face AC. Now, let the rays incident normally. If it incident normally, it goes undeviated. Then from B also the ray incident normally. It goes At the face AC, they are incident normally, so the gas goes undeviated along the same path. There is the angle of incidence here is because the ray incident normally, then in the interface from air to glass, but there is no refraction. The ray does not bend; it goes along the same path. Okay, so this is goes undeviated, and it hit the surface AB. Now here at the face AB, now let me draw the at the face AB. Let's draw the perpendiculars at the face AB. So if you draw the perpendiculars at the face AB, now you draw the perpendicular. Here is the incident. Then draw a perpendicular like this and like this. So this is the angle of incidence. This is the angle of incidence. And if this is 45, this angle should be 45. This should be 45. 45 degree. And this is greater than the critical angle for glass air interface. So the ray gets totally internal reflection. So this gets total internal reflection like this, and this ray also gets total internal reflection like this. The total internal reflection. Now it hit to the surface. Again BC. Draw the perpendiculars again here. If you draw the perpendiculars here, again this ray 45 means this is 45. This angle is 45. Again this interface, glass to air interface, denser to rarer, angle of incidence is greater than 45 degrees. So the ray gets total internal reflection. Now it gets at an angle refracted like this. Okay. Then here also it gets refracted like this. Now it hit the surface at AC perpendicular normally. So the ray gets undeviated like this, and this one will go undeviated. And the image will be, how will show the image? The image will be, this is the ray, here is A, this is B, A dash, B dash. Now you see here, at these two faces, no refraction that goes undeviated, but at these two faces, total internal reflection occurs. And if you see the rays, the incident ray goes along this direction, this is opposite. The refracted rays comes are opposite, the emergent rays are opposite. This is incident, this is emergent. So how much is the rays? How much is the angle? 180. That's why it is called as a deviated at an angle 180. Incident, emerge 180 degree. That is a right angle prism used to deviate the rays of light through 180 degree. It is incident like this, emerge like this. So this is a 180. Incident like this, emerge like this, 180. Total internal reflection occurs at the face AB and BC. Here it goes undeviated. This is the case of your second. Case number 2. Right angle prism used to deviate the rays of light through 180 degree. And remember, this light is called, this type of prism is called as a Poro prism. This type of prisms are called as a, if you place the prism like this, these are the, here in this case, the isosceles prism which is used to deviate the rays 180 degree, they are called as a Poro prism. Clear? Then we will go to the next one. Next is the third case. Right angle prism or the total reflective prism used to invert the image of an object without changing its size. Right? And these are used in your binoculars. So now say consider isosceles prism, how this occurs. So the ray diagram. Isosceles prism A, B, C. This is 90 and this side is 45 degree. This is a 45 degree. This is a 90. Now let us consider an object AB. AB is an object. Place parallel to the face AB. AB is an object. Place parallel to the face AB. And the rays of light from AB incident normally. Normally, if it incident normally from A, it goes undeviated like this. It incident on the face AC. Similarly, another way. Let us draw another way. From B, incident normally it goes undeviated. It goes undeviated. 90. Now at this place, to draw the perpendicular. Now draw the perpendicular. This angle should be 45 degree. So the reflected ray will be 45. Angle of incidence 45. So here it is 45 means greater than the critical angle. Glass to air, the ray will not come, refraction will not occur because the angle of incidence is greater than the critical angle. So the ray gets reflected at an angle of 45 degree. Like this. Then this ray also gets reflected at an angle of 45 degree. Right? Now it incident at an angle of 45 degree. Then it incident there at this face. Now here again what happened it incident at perpendicular. Now this becomes 90. The ray goes undeviated. Now this also goes undeviated. Like this. So now you get the image. Now AB, you will get an invert image because this is A. So this is A means this one is the image of A dash and this is your B dash. So you can show that this is the image A dash B dash. A dash B dash. Without changing the size, what is the size of AB? You will get the same size A dash B dash. And this angle is a 45 and this is your 45 degree. Here is perpendicular, here is incident perpendicular. Clear? And the total internal reflection occurs at the face AC. Here it goes undeviated, here undeviated. Total internal reflection occurs at the face AC. We are getting the image A dash B dash. Clear? So this is another application of total reflecting prism. And these are used in your, as I have told that, these are used in your binoculars. These are used in your binoculars. And remember, these are used in your binoculars. And these prisms are called erecting prism. These prisms are also called erecting prism. When this prism is used for this purpose, to invert the image of an object without changing its size, this type of prism is called erecting prism. Okay, so these are the applications of a totally reflecting prism and the application of a total internal reflection. So we got the applications of circling of diamond, mirage and isosceles prism. Then another application is there, that is very important application, is optical fiber. Optical fiber. This is another application. This is the application of TIR. With the application of TIR, this is a device you can say also optical fiber. A thin wire fiber. A thin wire. An optical fiber is a extremely thin and long strand of very fine quality glass or quartz. Okay. So this is an optical fiber. There also in the optical fiber we are using the TIR. And these optical fibers are nowadays used in so many purposes, like your telecommunication, and they are used in the manufacturing of medical instruments. Then also we are using this optical fiber. There are so many applications of this optical fiber. We are using the most important is the optical fibers. Where we are using this TIR, because in TIR the ray of light incident, it gets completely reflected, no energy loss. There is no decrease in intensity of light. What the incident light? The same light is reflected. That is also I use in your optical fiber. This is also another application. So this is all about your total internal reflection and its application. Okay. So go through all the video and understand the thing. And remember, always try to draw the ray diagram. Don't see the ray diagram. When you see the video, at the same time you draw the ray diagrams on your paper. Okay. Thank you.